Hi, I'm Rob Vanstone. Welcome to the eighth, I think it's the eighth Leader Post Rider Rumblings video podcast. I think I got it right now. I've struggled with the name of this thing ever since we started doing it. So
eighth time is the charm, I think.
Well, we'll leave that up to the viewers, listener. I am joined as always by my worthy constituent, Mr. Murray McCormick, Leader Post beat writer since Piffles Taylor was the president of the team. Murray, welcome back.
Murdog, yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Rob. It's always great to see you again. You're looking good today.
Thank you for lying. We're very honored to be joined today by the great Claire Hanna of CTV Regina. Claire is covering her first Rough Rider season and is doing a remarkable job, as she does with everything that she lends her time and her good name to. So Claire, thank you so much for being with us today.
Such nice words. It has been a rough season though for the Rough Riders so far.
It certainly has. Quite the indoctrination
Yeah.
for Claire. There's so much to discuss. We usually try to go about 25 minutes, but honestly, you look at that Montreal game and that might be a documentary. We're going to talk about the Montreal game, look ahead to the Riders game Thursday against Hamilton, and also discuss Claire's remarkable athletic career and her flirtation with Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
If that is the correct terminology.
Oh, we made out.
How do I segue from that?
Well, at least the Riders didn't make out very well.
Yeah, thank you for rescuing. What was that? What on earth was that?
I seem to remember being in this spot a little over a week ago and some guy saying it was a mortal lock, the Riders are going to win. And I remember a wiser, older voice saying, never say never in the CFL. And I said it wasn't a mortal lock. So I left a little wiggle room. You didn't leave any room.
Does that mean do I have to eat another column?
No, I don't think I can stomach that again. That's a whole other diet you can work on another part of your life.
Honestly, that should have been a mortal lock. The Rider defense, if they didn't make the ridiculous decision once again to play Duron Carter at cornerback, there would have been very few blemishes in that defensive performance. They played tremendously. Montreal had very good field position a lot of the game because the offense couldn't do anything. Four times on 1st and 10, the Alouettes were tackled for a loss that wasn't a sack. The defense played very well. That was a winning caliber defensive performance.
Except for it wasn't. It wasn't. I think the offense didn't deserve to win that game. I know Brandon Bridge had a couple of passes that were a little, off the mark and stuff, and the interceptions, but I don't think Brandon Bridge played well enough for them to win that game. I don't think the offensive line played well enough for them to win that game. The running game was non-existent, so you've got to have all aspects working, and it wasn't working that way. And
they're playing Montreal.
I know Montreal. I was in that locker room.
How did they lose to that? That's absolutely inexcusable.
I've been in 3 locker rooms that are memorable in my time as a Rider beat. In 09 when they lost, 13 when they won, and in 07 when they won. And it was like the
you weren't there in 07.
I wasn't. I was trying to remember the number.
The 13th man is what you're talking about.
Man, yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, so do you want to? Anyway, the Alouettes looked like they won the Grey Cup. They were high-fiving. They were celebrating. It was like the biggest win of their season. And did they deserve to be celebrating that way? Arguably not. They didn't play well enough to win that game, but the Riders played well enough to lose it. So you give the Alouettes the win, and we're left with examining a team that kind of tired of talking about the offensive line, the quarterbacks, and all this stuff. It's the same storyline we went through last year.
Claire, what about the offensive line, the quarterbacks, and all that stuff?
Well, honestly, what
was that we witnessed? I'm still just flummoxed by their ineptitude.
I want to give a little more credit to the O-line in that game, though, than against the Red Blacks. I think it
was better.
Yeah, it was better, and therefore you have to look a little bit more than at the quarterback situation because he had more protection than the game 2. But when I was cutting tape last night, I was looking a lot at the quarterback situation, and neither Bridge nor Watford got the ball out of their hands very quickly. I think Watford did it a bit more, but there was a sense that Bridge was really looking around, and I'm not sure how long you've got in the pocket, but it seemed like he was looking around so long that he would potentially lose his options, like his route options for his receivers. They'd ran them, and then they were out, and it's like, okay, then he was forced to scramble. And I know everybody consistently says that he needs to get the ball out of his hand a little quicker, but I'm not sure how they're coaching him because I feel like we hear that over and over. We heard it last year. And so is Steve Walsh forcing him to have his own little time clock of 2 seconds? You get out of the pocket, you just throw it. Because I haven't seen much of an adjustment from him.
What makes me wonder is you've got Brandon Bridge, and his forte He's not Zach Collaros. He's not Kevin Glenn. He's not Darian Durant. He's not a quarterback that Stephen McAdoo has coached here. But he's a tremendous talent. And it did not appear to me that the Rough Riders' offensive scheme was at all geared toward what Brandon Bridge does well, or not sufficiently geared to what Brandon Bridge does well. He's got a great arm. He's mobile. He can improvise. He can make things happen. Did you see any evidence that the Rough Riders were actually trying to use his mobility? It's like they were trying to make Brandon Bridge fit the system instead of making the system fit Brandon Bridge. And I remember 2007 when Ken Austin was the head coach, and Kerry Joseph was the furthest thing from the prototypical Ken Austin quarterback. They won a Grey Cup together. Why? Because Ken Austin took an offensive scheme that had been well established and was very successful. And the template for it included a quarterback who can execute that. And he pretty much he adjusted it in a manner that would allow a quarterback like Kerry Joseph to thrive. I didn't see any sort of flexibility there as far as the scheme, and that was manifested in the outcome.
It's so funny because I read a book last night with a quote from Pete Carroll, and it said something along the lines of, I try to get to know my players, get to know their identity and strengths, and then I make schemes where they're going to thrive, where their motivation will work into the scheme, where their talents will shine. And I think that Brandon Bridge is incredibly mobile, but then you need to set up, whether through the A, the B gaps, some routes so that he can get the ball ahead. Maybe it's not necessarily using his arm so much. Maybe it's just using his feet, but then let him succeed. Don't let him do this on a scramble play where he's using it as his last option.
Are they putting players in the right position to succeed? I don't think they did that with Brandon Bridge. That's pretty obvious. They're surely not doing that with Duron Carter. There's no way he should be playing defense anymore. I think any other player who'd performed that badly 2 games in a row, had been lit up for long touchdown passes 2 games in a row, he wouldn't be playing corner anymore. I remember watching Billy McBride in 1983. Why did they persist with this?
I wasn't alive, so I don't.
I don't think they have any other options.
Why don't they? What about all these free agent camps they've been having? All the money that they spend on recruiting, all these scouts that they've got in every village and hamlet throughout the United States, and they can't find a cornerback better than their best receiver?
I know, who played like a bad cornerback too.
What is this?
I don't understand. I can't come up with the answer why. And I was at those mini camps, and I saw they just can't seem to find anybody to play that position, which is strange because I thought Marshall was the answer for the time being, and then he broke a finger and he's gone for a while, so that's going to be a strange thing. It's just perplexing, and it's going to be an interesting thing. And just throw something out here. Kristen Jones, who is arguably one of the league's premier returners, yesterday was running on defensive back, because they think it's just small, shorter guy that can keep up with Hamilton's little smaller receiver.
Find a cornerback.
No,
well, they brought in Micah Lamb yesterday, right?
He's not a cornerback. He's a safety.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm sorry, but I thought Duron Carter wasn't a cornerback. So maybe you change him. That's a little bit of a different...
He's at least playing defensive back.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's used to running backwards. I think Carter had a... I could watch that game again, and Carter was almost... I know everyone's saying they're coming up with excuses that he's done this, he's learning and stuff, but you can't learn at the CFL level, and I think the Alouettes prove that again, that he can't be learning at that level, and they're going to have to do something. But mind you, I don't think it's going to change for another couple of weeks.
Okay, this is one little theory I have, okay? You develop your receivers without Duron Carter on the receiving core. Josh Stanford, Shaq Evans, and then maybe we don't know something. Maybe Nick Marshall's going to be back really soon, and so you don't think so?
He's got a cast on his hand. Big cast.
Okay, there goes my theory. I thought there was something more positive about this, because I thought maybe they're using this time to really see how their receiving core develops an identity sans Duron Carter. And then when Duron Carter comes back, he fits into this scheme that's really confident, not just relying on Duron Carter. I'm just trying to figure out what the other option could be in this. What?
I don't see another. And I don't, even if you bring Duron Carter back, it's getting so long as you see practice at defensive back for wide receiver for a while, he's going to have to learn to get back into that system. Not saying he doesn't have a great football IQ and can remember plays and slide back to being a wide receiver, but they need to play him at wide receiver at practice and that kind of stuff. But if you don't have a cornerback, what are you going to do?
It does not seem to me like they're approaching the early part of the season with any urgency. Duron Carter is playing cornerback when he should be playing receiver. They're weakening themselves at that position. Chris Jones has said that he has Jerome Messam on a pitch count, and that's one of the reasons he didn't carry the ball at all against Montreal. They're trying to pace him. He said leading into the Montreal game that that Charleston Hughes was actually going to get fewer reps at defensive end than Toby Antigua because he wants Charleston Hughes in Week 18. Well, Week 18 is not going to matter.
It's a bye week for them too.
But are we all freaking out, you guys? They're 1-2. It's
Regina.
Week 3.
It's Regina.
They just lost to Montreal.
We were freaking out in the preseason.
I know. You know what? And that's something I'm learning about this market. It's like they get a win, let's plan the Grey Cup parade. They get a loss, and everybody's just freaking out, fanatical.
I think of just the manner and how they lost the last 2 games. It really contributed to the overall paranoia and freaking out, and everyone else becoming of the advice and curling, including Rob Vanstone, on what they should do. It's just they aren't progressing, and that's a sign that is concerning about this. And they have a possibility to go 1-4 against the East Division teams to kick off this. And Rob and I, we're talking about this team being a playoff team and being a possible home playoff team back before the season started. And it's looking really tough that they can even make the playoffs, because where are they going to be at the end of this season? Where are they progressing? Where are they going to be at game 6? Where are they going to be at game 9? Where are they going to be beyond that? Like, I don't see a lot of positives right now, and you have to change that.
You're not the only person, though, that had this team going far. I know some of the TSN analysts thought, okay, this is a team that's going to be in the Grey Cup final. They're going to be in Edmonton in November. So that makes me wonder if maybe there is some genius to Chris Jones that we don't understand, because we know he keeps his cards close to his chest. I'm just saying, let's not panic. Let's chill out, you guys.
No way. That happened because that's not good stuff to write about. Secondly,
you have to be reactionary in this business.
No one cares. No one wants to read about that stuff. Then came that Saturday at the end of the preseason when he cut Rob Bagg, Chad Owens, Bakari Grant, and Travis Bond. And somehow this team went from great to what the heck is going on with this team on that one day for me. And we're still trying to see what kind of team this is going to be based on those cuts. Travis Bond, an offensive lineman, was a money deal, but they're still trying to find a right guard, and they had Travis Bond here. So you're kind of what's going on there. They didn't have a defensive back that got cut. I can't really blame that on that, but I think Bakari Grant still could have been quite serviceable in this offense.
Again, you look at the weaponry that they're making available to Stephen McAdoo and to the quarterback, to one of the 3 quarterbacks who's played just three games into the season. But you're taking the most dangerous receiver, the most explosive receiver out of the lineup. You're giving him a substandard offensive line, and everybody knew the offensive line needed work during the offseason, and it's worse. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, they're really rotating Jarvis Harrison and Dariush Blade, okay?
Yeah.
Still not,
and on-rushing defensive ends are making the Rough Riders offensive line rotate as they spin until hitting oil. And the receiving core, they released 3 veterans and they moved Deron Carter over to defense. So what kind of arsenal do they have? What are they giving Stephen McAdoo and whoever the quarterback of the day is to work with? To me, the results are what the results should be given the construction and the conception of the offense.
I would expect more out of the run game this weekend, though. I'm not sure if you just want to focus on the Alouettes, but as they head into Hamilton, I think that Marcus Thigpen, that bobble catch, like everybody was just salivating at the thought of that catch. But his run game, as well as Trey Mason, and if we see more of Jerome Messam, I think that could be an area that they really exploit against the Ticats this weekend, especially given that we know how good Masoli's arm is. Or, sorry, that's unrelated. But anyways, we haven't seen that.
We don't care if thoughts are related. They just sort of flutter around.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about Masoli and 300 yards and just anyways.
Montreal was a far worse team against the run than the Tiger Cats were. And that's why I kind of thought they could exploit things with their little scat backs and stuff and mess them in there, especially when they were twice at the goal line, 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1, and they didn't bring in Messam. And you and I
what's he there for?
We're yanking on what little hair we had left, going, come on, put Messam in there.
Actually, the first 2,000 fans that show up for Thursday's game will receive a Marcus Thigpen Bobble It doll. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, stop. That's bad.
Isn't that awful?
That's a good one. Is that the lead on your column? Something that play,
and like that one?
That's pretty funny. And actually, that was such a huge play. Imagine that would have done with the Humboldt Strong people here. With
Bridges' confidence goes up right away.
And it hit him in the numbers.
The pressure's off. I know. That moment was a fateful moment, honestly. Yeah, it changes the direction of the game entirely.
But we're all trained to say one play is one play, and the first play of the offensive series is not the play that decides the game, but that play decided the game. Yeah, and Thigpen knew it too. Bridge knew it. Jones knew it. Walsh knew it. the person up in the highest rafters knew it. Even Rob knew it. That was a big play.
Another pass hits an upright with Caleb Hawley wide open.
Yeah,
in the
that
end
was
zone.
kind of
just a weird display.
And that's the guy everyone's cramming for to be the starting quarterback is David Watford. And I didn't see enough from David. I like David Watford. I think he's going to grow and maybe become something, but he doesn't show enough to be the starter. And
Well, and there was one more play too when David Watford hit the field goal stanchion, right?
Yeah.
And that was wide open to Caleb Hawley, and that would have been another moment where, okay, I think at that point you tie the game up. Yeah. Anyways,
I remember Creston Butler ran into the goalpost in BC.
Was it one of his first games
and he went on to become a pretty darn good defensive back, and so maybe that's a wake up call to run into a wall.
An omen, maybe. If you will.
So Hamilton, they've just lost to Montreal, and now they get to play a Hamilton Tiger Cats team that is being touted as Grey Cup material.
They are hot. They are fire.
So
do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just think Jeremiah Masoli, I love that he is being pushed by Johnny Manziel. And I think that is why he has risen to this occasion. Everybody was thinking he was kind of done in the CFL at some point, last year with Zach Collaros playing all those games. But he has emerged, like he is reborn. And I think that this upcoming week, he is going to tie Kent for consecutive games where he throws for 300 yards or more.
Well, she did research. I have nothing more to add. No, I feel the same way about the Tiger Cats. I'm a long-time Tiger Cats fan back in the younger days, so I can still cheer for them a little bit. Can I some days?
No,
good. I agree. Mazzoli's been. I've talked to him at CFL week, and I was so impressed with how he was dealing with all the stuff that was going on with the Johnny football in the background and stuff, and he just handled it all so well. And the guy just completes passes. He just does there, and he doesn't rattle, and he doesn't do those things. And they have a good receiving core, have a good defense, and they're the team they're going to be. And I think the Riders play them back to back. So I think, and in Hamilton, where they don't have much luck, not much luck in Hamilton, even when it's Ivor Wynne Stadium. So I think this is going to be. They're going to go into the bye week after this game with a lot of belly button searching and stuff, trying to figure out what's going on, and they're going to come back to another game when they're going to be.
Are you presuming a loss then?
Well,
why would they have soul searching after a win, Murr?
Okay, maybe a loss. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking unless they play completely different, they're going to lose again.
I think they might win this one.
Okay,
every time I rip
Mortal
them,
lock.
Time I rip them, they win. Right? So
is this another column thing? Like if they win or if they lose, you eat your column.
Should I eat? Well, you watched that the other day. How repulsive was that?
I truly had not butterflies in my stomach, like rhinoceroses in my stomach. I was just thinking.
So do I. It's kicking right now.
Like I wanted to go drink water, but even the thought of water, because that's what you use to wash it down, made me feel gaggy. Anyways, I'm impressed. Like I ate some weird stuff when I was traveling in Thailand, but I don't think that would hold a candle to
I think the paper was gluten-free, so it fits into Rob's diet.
What did you eat in Thailand?
Or
can that be repeated?
One starfish that was alive.
No
that was
way.
That was in Japan. And then I also had some weird whiskey infused cobra blood stuff. They have these weird bottles with like cobras in them, and they're dead, but the whiskey's in it, and then you drink it. So the cobra's kind of like, I don't. Anyways,
it's kind of like the worm in the bottle of tequila bottle.
Yeah, except for a cobra. So
can you get starfish and chips in Thailand? Sorry,
starfish arms.
I want to talk about Claire. Because she's really cool. You're excused.
I know, but I feel like they want riders.
You were more accomplished than anybody on the Riders when it comes to athletics. How many of them have been a what's the word, consultant for a movie?
Oh yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, consultant.
So there you go. How did that come about? Could you tell me a bit about that?
I love how interested you are in this, by the way.
That's so cool.
It was
a cool
gig. It was
after
super
the
cool.
show.
No, the summary is I was laid off from a job that I was working in Edmonton in TV, and I used to play on the Canadian national volleyball team, and they were filming a volleyball movie in Vancouver, and they needed a consultant to come in and make sure they were keeping their toes aligned with volleyball rules and the right verbiage, and that everything looked right and it made sense and was volleyball. So they brought me in, and I was the consultant, and I taught people like Helen Hunt how to coach and how to appear to be volleyball players. And that's the summary. I don't think that was a very good job.
What's the name of that movie?
Live Like Line. Actually, sorry, I lied. That was the original title. And then it changed to The Miracle Season.
That's out now though, isn't it?
Yeah, it came out in February, I believe.
Yeah. What was Helen Hunt like?
she was lovely, very professional. So I was such a Twister fan, and like I loved Mad About You and things like that when I was younger. So when I was like getting ready to meet her, I was really nervous. And I remember I went up to her in the gym and I said, "Hey, I'm Claire. I'm going to be helping you with the volleyball stuff." She said, "Oh, this is amazing." Like she said, "Don't make me look stupid." That was the first thing she said. "Don't make me look stupid. You could tell me that before the other team serves the ball, I have to bounce it 5 times and then pass it to the server, and I would believe you. So I'm going to believe everything you have to say. So don't make me look stupid."
And how did she look?
I think she looked awesome. Yeah, I think she looked great. She's badass. I'm so sorry. We're gonna maybe have to beat that out, but wham, wham.
Can we get away with that, Mark? Is that word permissible?
Yes,
Okay,
we got the
can
heads
go
up.
with it.
Mark gave him the okay sign.
And we've talked about eating starfish. This is the most risque we've ever been as far as a podcast. Congrats. What was it like to see your name in the credits?
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah?
It was a little farther down than I expected.
Above or below the key grip and best boy?
Probably right around the same area. Yeah, no, that was kind of neat. Yeah.
Well, it's time to roll the credits on our podcast. Murray, you haven't been in any movies, so we're not going to talk to you anymore.
Okay, I've been in a podcast, so
That's true.
And a video cast.
Yeah.
Video cast, yeah.
But-
and the leader post every day.
Have you eaten a starfish? What's the worst thing you've ever eaten? And I can follow Football Foodie and know what the worst thing anything you eat is the
yeah.
worst thing you've ever eaten.
Well, it was in Mexico, and I thought this big shiny green thing was a pickle, and it looked awesome. And I cut a big chunk off and popped it in my mouth, and it was the hottest jalapeno I've ever eaten in my life. And my wife and the servers all in the resort were laughing their heads off as this big guy was sweating and searching for milk and ice cream and bread and everything I could possibly find to cure the fire. And I don't think it's gone away yet.
My worst is Caesar salad. I hate Caesar salad. So I went to a friend's house one night for supper, and what were they serving? Caesar salad. That's it. I couldn't overload on vegetables. I couldn't overload on anything else. I couldn't eat the dessert first. I couldn't eat the salad first. It was Caesar salad.
So what do? Do you just say, "I'm going to eat this," or pretend you're sick all of a sudden?
I decided to pretend to eat it. And you know how you take a pill and you put the pill in? So it was like, take a bite, water. And I went through about 3 jugs of water eating the entire Caesar salad, and then I cried.
Why didn't you just eat the croutons? That's what you like.
But they were covered in all that
You
gunk.
could have said you were allergic to anchovies.
Or starfish.
Yeah.
Where it felt like there were starfish.
Or
in it.
blood-infused whiskey drinks.
Wait, one question for you then.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather eat a bowl of Caesar salad or one more article?
One more article. I would eat the entire newspaper and perhaps every bound volume we have in the morgue downstairs, dating back to 1896.
Then a bowl of Caesar.
Then one more bowl of Caesar salad. It was awful. It was awful.
I can't even imagine what's going in your taste buds right now.
Unfortunately, I can imagine it and have seen it. So it's nothing too surprising. Like watching him eat his column was no worse than watching him eat a meal.
But it wasn't
Except
as
you
bad
didn't
as
get as much on your face and in your shirt.
It wasn't as bad as the Montreal game.
That's true.
So
that way we digested all of that one and moved on to a fresher meal with the Tiger Cats coming to town, and hopefully we'll have something to enjoy.
Meow.
Very well said. Do they serve that in Thailand too?
Probably.
Claire, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
It was wonderful to have you with us. Murray, thanks once again, even though you're professionally obligated to do this. It's
Exactly,
still
yeah.
nice of you to join us. For Claire, Hanna, Murray McCormick, I'm Rob Vanstone. We can be found on Google Play, right? And iTunes. Yes. I always
That's
forget that
intense
tag.
stuff. Those are the big dogs.
Those are the big dogs. So do they serve those in Thailand? Never mind. Claire, Murray, Rob, thank you so much. Take care.